All right, folks, welcome to the Strong for Life podcast. Today I'm joined by my awesome client, Robin. Myself and Robin were actually on a coaching call, and we'd been planning to do an updated podcast interview because Robin has just crushed the program. He's 15 months in now, and he was very busy over the last few months, and then we were just on the call having a good conversation and was like, well, let's just actually hit record and check in and chat. So Robin, I really appreciate you being open to being put on the spot and being open to having that chat today.
Yeah, good to be here. Not sure if there's going to be anything useful whatsoever in this call, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying, mate, like they're the best type of podcast where you just hit roll and like see what happens. So maybe I think a good place to start is like you are 15 months in now. So do you want to give people a quick background, like who you are, but also like the position you were in before joining the program? What motivated you to come in?
Yeah, we'll do. So I'm in my kind of mid 50s. Yeah, fairly kind of standard. Yeah, life. Married, got 3 children. I live a relatively normal life. Got a desk job. So spend most of my day sitting, despite the fact that we do have these stand desks at work where you can stand up. But yeah, I still spend 90% of the day at work sitting down. Um, so what uh, what my starting point was, thinking back, I was in the overweight category. I had just built up a few pounds, every year. I've been relatively, kind of, yeah, slim-ish, through my childhood and, kind of early through 20s, and then, early 30s, but late 30s, late 30s and 40s. I just put on a couple of pounds pretty much every year, and really it built up. And I was officially in the overweight category. I felt very sluggish. Wasn't sleeping well. Um, it didn't look good, didn't feel good. And that's the point at which I started your program. Uh, so yeah, I think at my leanest a few months ago, I had lost about 28 pounds, and body fat dropped significantly. Muscle was up, sleeping a lot better. I was eating a lot better. Um, I'd stopped drinking. So that's made a big difference as well. Um, um, I'm a little bit up from my kind of leanest point. I've probably got a little bit more muscle. There's probably a little bit more body fat. There's been a few kind of holidays and things in between then, but I had hit my target weight and target body fat, and actually that's an interesting point to be at, because I had this goal, and um, obviously I'm not very good at setting goals, but actually once I have set a goal, I come hell or high water, I sooner or later I'm going to achieve it, and it might take me 5 years, but yeah, I'm going to get there. Um, but having hit that goal, actually that's a little bit of a challenge. Like what do you do then? Um,
Yes.
the reaching, that the being at that goal is not nearly as satisfied as hunting it down. Um, uh, so I did enjoy being in that place, but yeah, it's easy to kind of just go, okay, all right, I'm done now. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, I can just kick back. um, and fortunately, the good thing about being part of your program is that um, that I was still in the program. I think if I was just doing a weekly class or something like that, it would have been very easy to just step away from it at that point. Um, so I'm still here. I'm still in. I'm still doing stuff. Um, and I'm actually still. Um, I'm still struggling a little bit to find a goal that really means something to me. I definitely want to lose, some more body fat, improve my body composition more. Um, but I'd been at at or below, um, 10 stone, 140 pounds for a very, very long time. So that was a really clearly defined goal for me to get there. And then I've kind of been hovering around it, up and down for a while. Um, but I can come up with a new goal, but actually it's hard to find one that means as much as that one, because where that was basically taking 10 years, 10 plus years off my kind of my body clock in terms of where I had been. So finding something that means as much to me as that is a bit of a challenge. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, mate, you touched on, I think, two really good points that I think people get value from hearing. So the first one is obviously you came through the program, you did really, really well. Like Robin has just excelled so much, and you can see his before and after photos like on Instagram or on the blog. Um, but reaching your goal, it's striving for stuff, is that's where all the excitement and the motivation comes from. And then you get to that point, and then it's like, oh, like what next, and that's where I think you see a lot of and that's why I wanted to do this conversation with Robin now, because you see a lot of people, 12-week transformations, but where are they in 12 months or in 15 months or in 24 months? That's the real, I think, value of behavioral change. And then the second one is trying to really get that um deep why around what your goal is now. So we can kind of touch on that now, mate, if you want, and just kind of see if anything comes up around that.
Yeah,
Like, I guess the first thing is like there's no, you know, getting like 10 years off or improving your life by 10 years, like that's just massive, and you've done that, which is fantastic. So, the question, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, but like it's a good thing to reflect on, is just, your 80, 85-year-old self, he's reflecting on the last 20, 30, 40 years. And what would he be like? You should have really at least, dialed that in or tried your best to do that. Like what would he be kind of frustrated at you having not pursued or at least tried to do, let's just say in the fitness realm. Yeah, let's go from there.
yeah. Um, I actually really like this concept of your future self talking to you, and just to touch on that, I think it's quite useful to think going back in your past. If you could talk to this is a good mental exercise. I think if you could talk to your younger self when you look back, and you could have done with some advice, from someone in the future who could see what was coming down the track. Um, what would you say to your younger self? Um, and actually, that kind of puts you in the right mindset. I feel to then project future. And to project into the future and say, what would your future self say to you, either in encouragement or, look, you've got to take a serious look at this. I think for me, um, my future self is, probably looking back at me now and saying, Robin, you have really got to get a better grip on your sleep. Um, uh, and I've kind of talked about and touched on this at the various points in the program, and it's actually something that I'm starting to work on a little bit this week. But I have got decades of bad habits around sleep to try and overcome, and it is just so hard. Really, enjoy that quiet time coming up late in the evening, and that's a time I need to be getting into bed and getting to sleep, and um, it's a challenge to move away from something that is enjoyable in the short term. It's a bit like those high carb foods that you enjoy in the short term, but they are actually not helping you in the long term. So um, I think that's probably the big point for me right now.
Okay. Yeah, this is really, really good. And I completely agree. Like sleep is definitely something I think a lot of us, myself included, can improve. And there's always so many options and opportunities in the evening, or you want to watch something, or you want that quiet time. So let's just look at like what would you like your sleep to look like versus where it is now? So maybe tell us like where it is now currently, roughly what time are you going to bed at, getting up at? Is it kind of different in the weekends to during the week? And then where would you like it to be? Or why do you think you'd like it to be there, I think, as well?
Um, yeah, and I think it's worth just looking back to where I was before I started the program. And I was probably only getting 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, and it was not good quality sleep either. Um, at the moment, I'm probably getting yeah an average of, well, I'm probably getting 6 hours a night, and there are some 6 or 7. Uh, so there are some nights where I'm getting 7 hours sleep, which is great. Um, I mean, 8 would be fabulous. I guess that happens very occasionally. 7 sometimes, but probably the most frequent would be 6 hours, and then there's an occasional 5 if I have a bad night's sleep. Um, so it's gone from 4 to 5 to you know 6 to 7, and 7 hours is happening regularly. But all the good stuff happens when you're asleep. That I think it's a massively overlooked part of fitness and wellness. Um, your body adapts when you're asleep significantly more than it does when you're awake. So um, I am definitely yeah losing out on some really effective fitness time by not sleeping as much. Um, so bedtime for me is so what I'm aiming for at the moment is 11 o'clock. Um, and I was doing that for a good few months. Um, but I look back recently, and I've just been getting into kind of bad habits where it might be 11:30, 11:45, um, and I'll generally wake up um, between 6:30 and 7. Um, uh, Sometimes, I'll wake up before 6. I might have a bad night, wake up at 5. Waking up at 5 that's a horrible time to wake up. Um, yeah, it's
My life
really
for
hard to get
my
back to
life for
sleep.
four years was waking up at 4:30 in Melbourne. So I totally get you.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mate, I want to
Yeah,
actually just kind of reverse slightly. So
yeah.
how many years were you at 4 hours roughly?
Oh, probably. Well, between 4 and 5, at least 10 years. I mean, probably probably more like probably more like 15, maybe even longer. I mean,
Wow. Okay. So basically, Robin, what you're telling me is in the last 15 months, you've added 50% extra sleep to your nights. So you've gone from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7. Um,
and sometimes I have a really good night's sleep, and it'll be maybe 8 hours. So yeah, it has improved. Yeah, it has improved definitely.
yeah, that's with that, I think metabolically, like these changes are pretty insane when you think about it, like over a decade or 2 decades, like 15, over 15 months, you've dropped, let's just call it like 25 pounds, you've gotten stronger, and you're sleeping. 50% more on average per night. So I think I just wanted to emphasize that point because like you're on the right trajectory already, versus, and this is uh kind of tapping into the conversation we're having before the call, before we hit record around like should we push harder or are we, doing enough?
Yeah.
Um so basically, mate, yeah, like you're already gotten amazing results with the sleep. So where would you like it to be going forwards? And then it might be a case of just continuing on and catching those bad habits when they come up. But let's kind of go in there now, okay?
Yeah, we would like it to be between 7 and 8 hours. Yeah, uh, that'll be I'd be pretty happy with that as an average night's sleep. So, um, it feels that should be achievable. So yeah, just I'm big on habits. Um, once I'm in a routine, I'm quite good at sticking to that. Um, so if I can really embed the the improved sleep habits, getting into bed, and you talk about the evening routine. Um, that I think is the most likely thing that's going to help. But yeah, I have to establish that habit.
Okay. So like it would be 11 p.m. to kind of 6:37 would be optimum for you?
Yeah, well, I should probably be getting into bed before 11. So between 10:30, 10:45 would be a good time to get into bed. But um, uh, I, yeah, I'm just realistic enough to know that I can't jump straight to that. So
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So like the goal is to move and eventually it'll be 10:30, 10:45
yeah.
um to 6:37. So you're going to be asleep for 7 hours at least then. What do you think is the biggest issue? Is it the hour before bed or in the evening time, or what do you think is currently stopping you from getting into bed on time and getting that sleep?
Biggest issue. There aren't many hours a day when I'm um, I'm surrounded by silence. Um,
Hmm.
it's pretty busy at work. Even on the days, some of the days I work in the office, a couple of days I work from home. Even on the work from home days, there's normally a bunch of meetings, and I'll be on calls for part of the day. So, and then in the evening, yeah, I've got family around me, and it's that it's that one period of the day when it's quiet, and yeah, that's something I really enjoy. So
Yeah.
yeah, breaking away from that, I technically, yeah, it's quiet in bed as well. So maybe I just need to think about that.
Okay, well, this is a really important point because that sounds like a very important, having that space and quiet time for yourself. So, I guess it comes down to, do you want to explore the latter, like it's quiet in bed as well, or also you can create maybe a few days where you have that, instead of every night, maybe there's 2 or 3 nights a week that you're like, okay, cool, this kind of 30-minute block or whatever is my kind of time, on whatever days you want to do. And then the rest of the time you go to bed a bit earlier. Like, how does that sit with you?
Uh, this is kind of interesting, actually. I hadn't really thought about it in these terms before, but if I'm out and about at you know lunchtime, or if I go for a walk, um, yeah, I'll fully admit to being sucked into the I must be doing something. So I'll be listening to a podcast. Yeah. When I go for a walk, if I go for a walk in the morning, if I go for a walk at lunchtime, yeah, I've got my headphones in. I'm listening to a podcast. So maybe I need to just leave my headphones behind and not go for a power walk with my fitness podcast. Triggering kind of mental stimulation. Maybe I need to just have a quieter walk. Hey, maybe I could even sit down for, for 10 minutes and actually just stop in the middle of the day. So that might actually be something that I need to do. Uh, yeah, there's a revelation. Maybe
That's
I need to stop
huge.
for maybe need to stop for 5 minutes now and then.
Yeah. And then you mightn't feel like you need that wind down in the evening. Is that where you're
Yeah,
getting? Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah,
I think you hit gold there, mate. Like I'm so happy that that came up because it's actually something that I think it was Andy Galpin was talking about this, and I was like, oh wow, this makes so much. And I feel this way myself as well. Like just when you're plugged in constantly, you're hyper stimulated. It's very stressful. Can be, and then it's going to affect your sleep and everything. Um, so that's what the recommendation he gave was like these clients in that category, they he's like you can train but without any music, or without headphones and go for a walk without any stimulation.
yeah.
So I think from a habit standpoint, mate, like how do you feel about trying a habit of it's up to you how many times a week, but like going for that walk without any podcast or without being plugged in, basically?
Yeah, I think it's a good way of doing it. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. There we are. I've said it. I'm committed now. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. How many days would you like to do it for?
How many days? I think that's. I think to start off, I think 4 is realistic,
Yep.
and then work from there.
How long are your walks normally?
Um, 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay. Now, what you can do as well, especially if you feel very like a lot of resistance, is you can do the initial 5 or 10 minutes without anything, and then like you have your reward. Ah, okay, now I can listen to something. So it's up to you, mate. But yeah, just so you can't, it's not like either all in, all out. Like you can just go like basically progressive overload your habit.
Yeah,
Um, so okay, so 20 to sorry, 4 days a week, and then like at least a 5 minute break when you're walking. Okay,
yeah,
how does that sound?
yeah. It sounds like I should have done this. Yeah, yeah. 10 years ago. Yeah, what was
Yeah,
I thinking?
yeah, but it kind of comes back to like this. I find this is the hardest thing now for myself personally, but also from coaching people as well. As it's the like you set a habit like this, but then the technology just sneaks back in constantly. Or
Yeah,
this, it's so desirable, right? Like, oh, this new thing, I want to listen to this new podcast, I want to listen to. And then all of a sudden you're just constantly like from getting up in the morning to the last thing at night, you're just consuming stuff. Um, so this is a huge one, mate.
all these
Yeah.
people putting out good content. Yeah,
Yeah,
how
exactly.
inconsiderate of them. Yeah.
Exactly. Uh, as we're recording a podcast, people are probably experiencing this as well.
Mm.
The irony, but yeah. So I think that's a good thing, mate. For the next 2, 3 weeks, just see how you go, see how you're feeling. Another thing, like we've talked about this before, but it's a good thing to touch on again, is like, and this is for my own reminder. What I was doing in when I was living in Western Australia, I was doing a screen-free Sunday most Sundays for about 3 or 4 months, and I could not believe how refreshed I felt on a Monday. It was like I'd taken like the week off. I was just like, whoa. Um, and then I just stopped doing it because it works so well.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it's hard, very hard. Um, Amazing, man. That was awesome. I'm glad that we touched on that. Anything else that you want to share with people before we jump off?
Um, no, I think we've covered some good stuff here, but yeah, maybe just as a closing thought uh, to say to people, actually, having a chat with someone, yeah, can sometimes lead to a bit of a revelation. So yeah, go and have a conversation with someone.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate you jumping on and checking in and sharing basically where you're at with everyone as well. Okay.
My pleasure. Thanks for all your help, Connor.
Cheers, mate.